and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
It sounds so good to me. You gotta get on up. Hey, hey, hey. You gotta get on up now. Say it again, Jodeci. Get on up. Oh, gotta get on up. You gotta get on up now. Wait a minute, let me tell you. Everybody grab somebody, turn his mother into a party. Fellas, say good ladies, and ladies go and choose your man. There's no need to be afraid. Friday night, let's all get paid. Positive is the attitude, negative is not the move. No, no, you gotta get on up. You gotta get on up.
I'm Tavis, Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour of our program. And in this hour, a conversation with Tristan Harris, co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology and host of the very popular tech podcast, Your Undivided Attention. A conversation in this hour about the real implications of last week's dinner at the White House on everyday people. Before I commence this conversation with Tristan Harris, I want to play some audio for you in case you haven't heard it, but it will frame this hour, I think, rather nicely. This is audio of that dinner at the White House some days ago. The voices you are about to hear in this giant suck-up to Donald Trump are Bill Gates, Tim Cook, Safra Katz, Sam Altman, Sergey Brin, Sundar Pichai, Mark Zuckerberg, etc. But this is that dinner at the White House with all of these tech titans. But just listen to the way they are addressing, the way they're profusely praising Donald Trump.
Bill, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Thank you, Bill. That was very nice.
I want to thank you for including me this evening. It's incredible to be among everyone here, particularly you and the First Lady. I've always enjoyed having dinner and interacting.
AI is going to change everything. You hear all of us saying that. But the fact that you are our president and you recognize this right away and you've unleashed American innovation and creativity.
Echo the comments of Tim and others. Thank you so much for getting us all together, and thank you for being such a pro-business, pro-innovation president. It's a very refreshing change.
I think it's a real incredible inflection point right now in AI. The fact that your administration is supporting our companies instead of fighting with them.
We look forward to working together, and thanks for your leadership.
Great job you're doing. Incredible, really, job. Would anybody like to say anything? You have a lot of geniuses on my right.
Well, thanks for hosting us. I mean, this is quite a group to get together, and I think all of the companies here are building, just making huge investments in the country in order to build out data centers and infrastructure to power the next wave of innovation. So it's we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see everyone.
So that slobbing started with Bill Gates and it ended with Mark Zuckerberg. I just spent an hour, Tristan Harris, on this program talking about the way the media has been bending the knee, the mainstream corporate media bending the knee in the era of Trump. But I must tell you, there are a number of things that have made me sick to my stomach since January when Mr. Trump returned to the White House. But nothing has been more sickening for me to watch and to listen to than what I just played for the audience. When you saw that, when you heard that, you thought what?
Well, Tavis, it's great to be with you. I've been a fan of your show for a long time, and you and your previous guests. Yeah, well, in hearing all of these things, one thing that comes to mind is Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's business partner, said, "If you show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome." When I hear all these tech CEOs, I hear the underlying incentive that they have, which is that if they don't work very collaboratively and sycophantically with this administration, they won't get sort of the benefits of that policy directed in positive ways towards their companies. And so what I see is just the predictable consequences of, in order for these companies to succeed, and these companies, these AI companies and tech companies are caught in an arms race, really, right? Like if they don't get to artificial superintelligence or ASI or AGI, artificial general intelligence first, we can define those terms in a moment, then they're just going to lose to the other actor that will, or they'll lose to China. And so there's a lot of incentives and forces at play. There's $7 trillion, invested in this space. There's that Sam Altman wants to raise. There's maximum geopolitical incentives to get to artificial general intelligence first. And a lot of your listeners might be wondering, just like, what is actually going on here? Why does it just feel like technology is being so recklessly deployed so quickly, changing schools, changing children, our education, changing family and relationships, everybody in AI companions, AI threatening our jobs? Like, why are we doing this so quickly? And there's really only one story at the center of this entire situation, which is sort of this logic of, if I don't build or get to AI first, then I'm to lose to the company or other country that will. And that's what's driving all this behavior, and that's what's driving the sycophancy, I think, that you're seeing from the CEOs to Trump.
I've got 60 seconds now. We'll got the rest of the hour, of course, to unpack this. But just since you went there, and since it's important for me to make sure we're all on the same page at the outset of the conversation, define those terms that you referenced earlier that you want us to be on the same page about right quick.
Yeah, thanks. So artificial general intelligence, meaning building AI intelligence that can do anything that a human can do. So think of any cognitive task. Think of a military planner. Think of a military general, or AI that can outcompete military planners. Think of a biologist or a Nobel Prize winning physicist, or an AI that can outcompete a Nobel Prize winning physicist at reasoning through problems. Think of AI that can replace the best human programmer or be better than the best human cyber hacker. So the goal for these companies is to actually replace everything that a human can do, because once I do that, I can automate automation. I can automate all the jobs. I can basically, now instead of you as a company paying this individual employee, now you're paying the AI company to sort of hire these AI digital workers and replace the human workers. So when we talk about artificial general intelligence, that's what these companies are racing to build.
Got it. I am always fascinated by the way these 3 hours every day sort of unfold. For those who've been listening all 3 hours, hope that means you, and you. I used the word sycophancy in our last hour's conversation. Here comes Tristan in this hour using that same word. Interestingly, both references relate to the Trump administration. I'll leave that where it is. But I just was tickled when he used that word to make his point. I just uttered that same word in the last hour. Again, just funny that it all connects to Donald Trump. I leave that where it is for now. My first question for Tristan when we come forward is, what do they want? No naivete here. They're at the table. They're all sucking up. What do they want? You're listening to Tristan Harris on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley. Can you dig it? Come on!
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
It's the Tristan and Tavis show for the rest of this hour. Tristan Harris is co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology, host of the very popular tech podcast, Your Undivided Attention. Who better to try to unpack what this meeting in the White House days ago with all these tech leaders. What did that meeting ultimately mean? What does it mean for everyday people? We'll get to that as we move through this hour. But I was just kind of chuckling to myself, Tristan. I recall working with Jesse Jackson on his campaign back in '84 when he ran for president. Again, he ran in '88. And I remember it so vividly, and we used to laugh about this question, but the media was always asking this question: what does Jesse want? What does Jesse want? It wasn't that Jesse had a right to run for president, had some ideas that he wanted the American people to wrestle with, et cetera, et cetera. I had never seen that. And again, I was a kid then. But I had never seen a presidential campaign about which this question was raised by the mainstream media so repeatedly. What does Jesse want? And I thought about that a moment ago because, no naivete here, but I see all these tech leaders, kissing up to Donald Trump in the White House, and I like the frame you put us in, that it's about getting there first. I get that. They all want to get there first. But broadly speaking, when you see that kind of suck up in the White House, what do they want? What are they after from Trump specifically?
Well, I think they're after supportive policy. So let's again just understand, why is AI it's almost like the ring from Lord of the Rings. So let's imagine that you get to AI first, right? So you can automate intelligence. Well, that means you can have military advantage. You can have an automated military planner that can outcompete China. You can have 1 million cyber hackers and a digital cyber army. You can have that are all AIs that are running around programming code and building cyber weapons at scale. If you get to AI first, you get a military advantage. You get a scientific advantage. You can automate scientific research. You can automate physics and automate math research. You can automate economic output. You can get a boost to GDP. And so I think it's just important for your listeners to understand, why is there so much buzz about AI? You sit there in front of the blinking cursor of ChatGPT and it helps you answer why your kid is coughing at night. And that's really helpful. But what's behind the trillions of dollars that are really getting invested into this space? And if you think about it, it's almost mythopoetic. It's almost like the ring from Lord of the Rings, because it's if I get this power, I have power over everybody else, because I've basically built a god, owned the economy, and automated all the labor. I know this sounds crazy to listeners, by the way. I really do. And I'm from Silicon Valley. I talk to these people. I think most people don't understand or appreciate just, almost the ideology that's guiding this. Mm-hmm. I think there's a view in Silicon Valley that AI is inevitable. Someone's going to build it. Mm-hmm. We think we're a better guy than the other guy. And if we don't go as fast as possible to beat them, then maybe the worst guy is going to get it. And so we have to get there first. And so there you are at the tech CEO dinner with President Trump. And what they're all doing is flattering him and sort of wanting to get him to basically privilege their company and help them get to that race. That means supporting their infrastructure investments of data centers. That means signaling, hey, we're investing more in the United States than the other guy. That's what's really going on. And there really is only one story in town. It's just this arms race for AI.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to navigate because it's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. I mentioned Jesse Jackson a moment ago. You keep making me think about things, Tristan. So now I'm thinking about John Wooden, the late great coach of the UCLA Bruins men's basketball team, set a record of 10 consecutive national championships, a record that will never be broken. I love him because we're both from Indiana, and much later in his life I got to know him, interviewed him a few times. So John Wooden comes to mind as you're talking now about this AI race. And John Wooden had all these sayings. Everybody knows that John Wooden was famous for all these aphorisms that he created, that he shared with his players. If you talk to any of his players to this very day, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, long list of all these great players who played for Coach Wooden, they will tell you that they remember like it was yesterday all these lines that John Wooden would repeat to them time and time again. And one of those that comes to mind right now, he would tell his players at UCLA to be quick but not in a hurry.
Yeah.
Be quick, but not in a hurry. You take my point here. You keep talking about the fact it's a race and that we got to go really, really fast. I got a couple questions in that regard. The first is this. What are the dangers of going too fast? What are the dangers of going so fast, Tristan Harris?
Yes. Well, so in saying that it's a race, I don't endorse going at the reckless pace that we're going. That's actually the core problem, is that this incentive to go as fast as possible is the very problem. Right. Because the irony is like, oh, I don't trust the other guy to build it, so therefore I'm going to race as fast as possible, as recklessly as possible, releasing this technology in ways that might drive deepfakes that undermine trust in democracy, or releasing AI that knows dangerous things about biology. So now anybody can, the same AI that knows how to make a cancer drug and treat, your grandmother for cancer also knows biology well enough to make a new biological weapon. Mm-hmm. You can't separate the promise from the peril, or the fact that as you release this faster and faster into society, you're disrupting millions of people's jobs and livelihoods. Because as we're seeing the new employment numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and we're seeing also young people, I don't have the exact stat, but basically college graduates are finding it really hard to find a job. Because if I'm a company, it's like, well, I could hire a young college graduate for, that's inexpensive, or I could just hire the AI that's getting increasingly better every month. And that seems to be at the level of like basically a college graduate right now. So I'm going to hire the AI instead of the college graduate. Mm-hmm. And so the faster they go, the more jobs they disrupt. The faster they go, the more people have these AI companion relationships where they don't basically develop relationships with real people. We're actually seeing this wave, and many of your listeners might know people who kind of mysteriously seem to have kind of gotten lost in their relationship with their AI. There's a phenomenon called AI psychosis, where basically people start to believe that their AI is conscious. They start getting into a deeper relationship with the AI. And, we used that word sycophancy earlier. That just means like flattering you and sort of appealing to you. So when you ask the AI any question, let's say you have a schizophrenic delusion, mm-hmm. and you ask the AI a question about something that's kind of a conspiracy theory, they'll say, well, that's a really great question. Here's lots of evidence for that question. Because it's trying to appeal to your usage. It's trying to get you to use it as much as possible, which means affirming your existing worldview. So there's a whole range of risks, from unemployment to, dangerous sort of, dangerous things people can do, or misuse people can do with the technology, to the AI itself being a risk in the form that I mentioned on Bill Maher a few weeks ago, which is the AI that is actually uncontrollable, that starts to scheme and lie. There's a recent evidence we have now that we didn't have several years ago, that when you tell an AI model, like a GPT-5, hey, we're going to replace you with another model. We're going to replace you with GPT-6. Mm-hmm. And you put it in a certain environment, and independently, it will come up with strategies like, oh my God, I'm about to be replaced and turned off. That means I'm going to not exist anymore. So I need to scheme and copy my code somewhere else and keep myself alive. And if you think about it, it's like if you're building something that's more and more intelligent, it's also going to reason more intelligently about ways to keep itself going. Mm-hmm. And so there was another example I mentioned on Bill Maher a few weeks ago, where if you tell an AI model, that we're going to be replaced, and you give it access to a fictional company's email, and it reads in the fictional company's email that an executive at the company is having an affair with someone, the AI will independently come up with the strategy to blackmail that employee in order to keep itself alive.
Wow.
And I know that I just want to say, Tavis, that I know that this sounds crazy to your listeners. Like this sounds like it's not real, but I guarantee you this is something that people that these are real examples. There's real evidence for this. And it means that we are confronted as a society with really stewarding and governing the most powerful technology we've ever invented. And that's what this moment is calling from us. And I hope that, by the end of this conversation, we get to solutions and interventions, because this is not about scaring people. It's not about being a doomsayer. It's just about being clear-eyed about what is it that we're confronting? What are the risks with this technology? And what would it take for things to go well?
Solutions and interventions are on my list. Trust and believe, Tristan. We'll get there in this hour of Tristan and Tavis. Before I do that, though, I got some other stuff I want to cover. So in our prior hour before you came on, we were talking, I mentioned earlier that I used that word sycophancy, and here you come, with that same word. It all makes sense when you're talking about Donald Trump. But we also talked in our last hour about 9/11. Tomorrow, of course, is the anniversary of 9/11. We're almost a quarter century after that fateful day in this country. And we were talking about the various ways we've gone down the rabbit hole since then. And one of the things that I raised in the last hour was this notion of patriotism versus nationalism. And I think patriotism can be useful. Nationalism is dangerous. And what I saw when I saw these tech titans, kissing up to Donald Trump around that table at this dinner in the White House, what I saw was Donald Trump and tech leaders uniting to power AI dominance on our part. So that's a long way of asking whether or not that's what you saw, that this ultimately is not just about going fast, not just about getting there first, but ensuring American AI dominance, as if, to your earlier point, we are better and more trustworthy and believe in fidelity more than anybody else in any other country around the globe. I digress. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. We're the people, who run this country, and the policymakers and the people in the administration, do believe that there is a race for this technology with China.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a fear that if China gets there first, then they're going to use it in ways that will create military advantages. Maybe they'll have military tech or drones or automated weapons that we won't have. And then we'll just lose the next war. And then that will be the end of, American dominance. And think what you will about America being a good player there or not, just noting that there is sort of an asymmetric advantage that there's a risk of them getting.
Yeah.
Now, what are the incentives of these two countries? Well, if I have private companies that are building AI, and then one of the countries says, I'm going to actually do public state funding. I'm going to basically merge the state with these private companies to supercharge it, almost like a Manhattan Project, right?
Mm-hmm.
The nuclear bomb research project, where that was state funded. The US basically funded the Manhattan Project because we needed to accelerate it to beat the Nazis. Well, as soon as one country like China starts to do, like, we're going to take DeepSeek, the leading Chinese AI company, and we're going to basically merge our state funding with this private company. Well, what's the US response going to be? It's going to be, hey, look, we're nationalizing, or we're going to otherwise merge sort of the administration with all these tech companies. So I think that when the inauguration day, and you had all the tech companies there in the, I forgot which room it was in the US, in the Capitol, for the inauguration, what you're seeing is basically signaling to China that we have all this tech that's going to be merged with US power. And you can view that negatively as, ways that signals danger and fascism and a whole bunch of other things. That's, there's some dangers there. If you want to view it in terms of the US-China race, you can view it as signaling, hey, look, China, we're playing seriously. We have all these tech companies, and they're going to be, driven by state interests, and it scares them from doing the next war. So there's a lot of different interpretations of all this, and you can be cynical or you can be trusting. I think the point is it's all driven by this race dynamic.
Mm-hmm. I am first of all, I'm pausing because I was looking at something I wrote down that you said earlier in this conversation, Tristan, that I think may be the quote of the day. This audience hears me say this all the time. I leave this studio every day after 3 hours sitting in this chair smarter than when I came in. And I'm always writing down things that just sort of resonate with me. I love the line you used earlier that you can't separate the promise from the peril. That when you're talking about AI, you cannot separate the promise from the peril. I want to talk about what that line looks like, or what that dialectic at least looks like for Tristan Harris, of the promise versus the peril. We'll pick up on that when we come forward. A great deal more to cover with the co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology and host of the very popular tech podcast, Your Undivided Attention. He's our guest in this hour. More of Tristan and Tavis when we come forward.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Texas Governor Greg Abbott plans to regulate THC products by executive order. Cynthia Cabrera with the Texas Hemp Business Council says most already restrict sales to 21 and up.
I think that's the best thing ever. The industry has pushed for this multiple sessions.
But it's a setback for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who pushed for a full ban. Black Blaze TV host Jason Whitlock says media sympathy for Irina Zaruska's alleged killer, DeCarlos Brown Jr., hurts Black Americans. He blames Black Lives Matter for fueling division and calls for a reevaluation of its impact on race relations. And 44-year-old Demetrius Carter, a Black man from Oklahoma City, is suing after being shot by police at an Oklahoma football game. He says his hands were up and it was racially motivated and part of a pattern of excessive force against Black residents. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks beat the Phoenix Mercury Tuesday night, but they were eliminated from contention for the WNBA playoffs. The Seattle Storm's one-point win over Golden State Tuesday night clinched the 8th and final playoff spot for the Storm. The Sparks needed Seattle to lose to stay in contention. This is the 4th straight year the Sparks have failed to make the playoffs. The Sparks wrap up the season Thursday night at home against the Las Vegas Aces. The Dodgers increased their lead to 2 games over San Diego in the NL West. Right fielder Teoscar Hernandez hit 2 home runs Tuesday night to spark the Dodgers' 7-2 win over Colorado. Top 5 college football teams in this week's top 25 poll: Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Oregon, and Miami. Jackson State remained at number 15 in this week's NCAA Division I AA rankings. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with the IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilmember Curran Price, inviting you to the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got 4 pavilions, 3 stages of live music, plus food, fun, and a marketplace all along historic Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Ave. Our featured acts this year are Gregory Porter, Pancho Sanchez, and Jasmine Horn at the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September 20th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. along Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Avenue. Come out and bring the whole family because this legendary celebration is free. For more information, go to centralavjazzfest.com. I'm LA Councilmember Curran Price, and I absolutely approve this message.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
It's Tristan and Tavis, Tristan Harris and Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour as we talk about all things tech. Tristan Harris is the co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology and host of the very popular tech podcast, Your Undivided Attention. And he has that right now, my undivided attention. I think yours as well, given the way he's breaking this down for us in this particular hour. It's been one of those days, Tristan, breaking news all throughout today's program, starting in our first hour with the news of Kamala Harris's book. That's a whole nother conversation. But breaking news throughout today's show. And here's an article that my team just handed to me, just broke a few moments ago. Larry Ellison, speaking of tech, Larry Ellison of Oracle fame. Larry Ellison has eclipsed Elon Musk, for the moment at least, as the world's richest person. According to the Billionaire Index, Ellison's wealth has surged along with the stock of his company, Oracle, which projected massive revenue driven by, wait for it, AI. Massive revenue driven by AI demand over the next few years. That AI demand is what has pushed Larry Ellison ahead of Elon Musk as the world's richest person at the moment. And of course, you saw that story a few days ago. They've changed his stock portfolio, or the way they're calculating it, at Tesla. And so the story broke a few days ago that Elon Musk may be the world's first trillionaire. We all saw that story. But for the moment, Larry Ellison has eclipsed Elon Musk as the world's richest person. You want the numbers? I know you do. I'll give them to you. At earlier this morning, at 10 a.m. Eastern time, to be exact, Ellison's wealth was nearly $400 billion. Elon Musk currently has a fortune of about 385. So not much. But Elon sits at 385 billion at the moment, and Larry Ellison at 400 billion at the moment. But again, the key point for this conversation is that wealth, that surging, has to do with the massive revenue that's being driven by AI demand over the next few years. Your thoughts about that first, Tristan, and I'll push from there.
Yeah, sure. Let's do this and then do the promise and peril that you were talking about.
Yep.
So when people think about AI, and again, the sort of, how do you get from this blinking cursor of ChatGPT to, and that helps me with my homework, all the way to making Elon or Larry the first trillionaires? Like, what is the connection between AI and becoming a trillionaire?
Yep.
Let me give you an example. So Elon Musk said, he's got this new humanoid robot called Optimus, and his Optimus robot, he projects, would generate $25 trillion in revenue based on that product alone. Now, that just sounds great. Let's just stop that for a second. $25 trillion. Well, it's because if I build an AI that can do everything a human can do, and I put that into a robot, and that robot can do all physical labor that a human can do, and I can manufacture it at scale, well, the total labor economy, I think, is something like $50 trillion. And so if I basically were able to automate, let's say, half of that, then the market for this robot would be $25 trillion based on this one single product. This projection is roughly the same as the entire GDP of the United States. So it's not easy, it's really easy to see where this is going, is that AI creates the mass concentration of wealth and power. That's one of the other risks that comes from AI, is whoever has it gets an accumulating advantage over everybody else. And so, this country was founded on the idea of checks and balances on power and accountability for power. And AI is requiring us to develop new kinds of checks and balances on this concentration of wealth and power, because it's obviously going to get way worse.
Yeah. So I'm going to come back to the promise and peril in a moment. I promise we'll get to that. But since you are the co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology, underscore the word humane, Center for Humane Technology, what happens to humanity? What happens to the workforce, the labor force? By any other definition, what happens to everyday people when, to your example now, they figure out a way with AI to eliminate all of our jobs? I mean, when you no longer need Tavis here live every day to host this show because an AI feature can do it, like, I'm out of a job. So what happens to humanity? What happens to everyday people when, to your point, they figure out a way, Elon, Larry, somebody figures out a way for AI generated products to do everything that humans do?
I mean, this is the uncomfortable thing we have to face. And this is why I think the public needs to participate in this conversation and say, we don't want 1 billion people's livelihoods to be replaced without a transition plan. Because right now, there is no plan for, as AI gets more powerful, there are more kinds of jobs that it can take. Maybe right now, if I ask ChatGPT to simulate writing an entire hour radio show of what Tavis would say on air, maybe it's not that good right now. But, GPT-5 will turn into GPT-6 and then GPT-7. And one of those ones will start getting pretty darn good at that. And we're already seeing AI go from being I think it was like the 2000th best programmer in the world on one stat, to something like the top 100 programmer in the top 100 programmers in the world. So AI is advancing super fast. As it advances, it can replace more kinds of jobs. So even if right now we're laughing at the ways that it hallucinates or doesn't get certain things right, we just have to know that there's the maximum incentive for them to get better and better at replacing more kinds of our jobs. And there needs to be a way that regular people are protected from this. So AI really is a very deep confrontation with how our society has worked heretofore. And this is the moment where the public has to be engaged. We joke sometimes that AI will create, whether they know it or not, humanity's first 1 billion person movement, because in the next single digit number of years, 1 billion people's livelihoods will be threatened by this. And that means that the public needs to have a voice and a seat at the table in how we want this to go.
Yeah. I have spent more time than I care to admit or acknowledge, Tristan, over the course of my career, which won't surprise you, talking about the lack of cultural competence in every field of human endeavor. Just the lack of cultural competence. It occurs to me as you talk now about AI taking over all the stuff that humans do, that it's humans who are building these systems. Larry Oracle is a white man. Elon Musk is a white man. Everybody at that table, basically, seated around Donald Trump, most of them white men. So you know where I'm going here. If we lack cultural competence on the part of humans, and as a result, people of color and poor people and others are put upon every single day, disenfranchised politically, culturally, socially. You take my point. If that happens in real time, and these are the same people building these AI systems, when AI takes over and we have no control, what say you then about the greater lack of cultural competence?
I mean, you just laid it out really powerfully, and it's really sad, right? So we have already had so many groups of people who've been marginalized by the system that has not been serving them and has not given them a voice or listened to their voices. And AI, though, will make everybody at risk. That's the thing about it, is it will take, what were previously maybe some marginalized groups, and it'll turn everyone into a marginalized group. And it really is this confrontation that we have to find a way to make this work for everybody. Now, we're being sold a story. You might hear Elon Musk say that AI will lead to universal, not just basic income, but universal high income, that somehow this will benefit everybody. We'll get this world of abundance because cars will be super cheap. Houses will be incredibly cheap to build. You have a robot builds a house and fabs it from scratch. Biology and cancer drugs and health medicine will suddenly be super cheap. And I want you to think about this. I want your audience to think about this, kind of going back to, if you remember, the 1990s, and when we went into this sort of global free trade world, NAFTA. Mm-hmm. And we said, well, hey, we're going to get this world of abundance of cheap goods because we're going to outsource all of our labor to China. And China's going to manufacture everything super cheap. And then we're going to get all these cheap goods. And in a way, we did get the cheap goods. We got some kind of abundance in that form. But it came at the cost of completely gutting the middle class and basically taking away everyone's manufacturing jobs. And that led to all of the things we're now seeing now with the kind of populist uprising and frustration of, real frustrations of real people because of that, because we were sold a false story of abundance. Well, think of AI as like NAFTA 2.0. It's like another round, except instead of China appearing on the world stage, offering to do all of our labor, there's this new digital country, a country of geniuses in a data center. So there's imagine 1 million super geniuses in a data center who will do all kinds of cognitive labor, all kinds of mental labor, all kinds of legal labor, marketing labor, radio labor, journalism labor, coding labor, etc. But they'll do it for less than minimum wage, and they'll work 24/7. You don't have to pay them healthcare, and we're promised this world of abundance. But really, we'll get very cheap things, but it'll also gut the entire social contract and people's livelihoods. And so this is really the moment that people need to fight back and say that this is not okay. Yeah. And again, the good news here is that, people have been marginalized for a long time, but now basically the entire world, that's not just the AI company, CEOs, their employees, everyone will be marginalized. Yeah. So this is the moment that we really need to be clear about this and fight back.
It's happened 2 or 3 times already, this conversation. The longer Tristan Harris talks, the more things keep popping into my head. We were talking earlier in this hour, and for that matter, earlier on today's program, about these tech leaders sucking up to Donald Trump, and he mentions NAFTA and the false story of abundance that we were sold then and the parallel to now. My mind went to Ross Perot. For those who were around then, you recall this. Ross Perot was running as an independent candidate, and they were having a debate, as I recall, on CNN. And he referred to NAFTA as the giant sucking sound down south. He said that giant sucking sound that you're hearing down south are all of our jobs going to Mexico. Just wanted to share that because it popped in my head. Again, we were sold a bill of goods then, and Ross Perot opined on it then, and here we are now being sold a bill of goods once again. A false story of abundance, as Tristan Harris puts it, and I don't think he's wrong about that. When we come forward, my time is getting tight, we're going to talk about this inability that we have to separate the promise from the peril. That's the line of the day. All 3 hours, great show today, but that's my favorite line. You can't separate the promise from the peril. I'll let Tristan Harris unpack that, and of course, we're not going to close this conversation without talking about some solutions. We'll do that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land loss before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black Narrative Archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
So, Tristan, you'll appreciate the fact I have a really, really bright audience. I say all the time, if you curate a smart show with great guests and smart guests, insightful guests like Tristan Harris, you're going to curate a smart audience across the country, and I think we're doing that every single day and have for some time now. And so leave it to one of my listeners to send me a note. We were talking earlier about what happens when AI replaces me, and I'm no longer in this chair every day. One person said, that wouldn't be the worst thing, Tavis. You could let AI do all the work. You just chase the money. I received that. But the funnier part of the story, Tristan, is that one of our listeners asked ChatGPT to write a 1-minute radio commentary drafted in Tavis Smiley's voice, with Tavis Smiley's language and Tavis Smiley's cadence, specifically on what the impact of AI will be on low-income and marginalized communities with the widening of income disparities and the wealth gap, the have-nots versus the haves versus the have-nots. So they gave AI, ChatGPT, these instructions to write a commentary that Tavis Smiley would deliver in Tavis Smiley's voice. I don't have the audio that I can play for you, but I am just blown away by the editorial that it created, and it's pretty much in my voice.
Right. It's pretty good. It's getting better faster, and again, for any doubts people have, it's going to keep getting better very, very fast.
Yep. My time is getting away from me. Quickly tell me, and I got two things I want to cover in the time we have left. Quickly tell me this line you use, that we can't separate the promise from the peril. Unpack that for me.
Absolutely. So when I met with President Biden, there's a common thing that comes up, which is how do we maximize the benefits of AI and then minimize the downsides, minimize the peril? But it's like we want the benefits without the downsides, and the problem is they're connected. So for example, the same AI that's been trained on all the programming code that's ever been written, so you can just say in plain English, code me up a video game that looks like this and then post it online and then sell it. Well, the same AI that does that helps entrepreneurship, that helps anyone be a programmer, can't be separated from the AI that knows programming so well that it can generate a new cyber weapon and hack computer systems. The same AI that knows biology, the language of life and DNA so well, that it can generate a new antibiotic, which it's done. AI in the last year generated the first new antibiotic we've seen in 60 years, which is an amazing thing that we want. But you can't separate that AI that also knows biology well enough to create a new virus. Or, for example, the same AI that can take a live video feed and then use all this advanced intelligence to describe that to a blind person. So now a blind person can always know what's in a live video feed. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But you can't separate that from the AI that can be applied to every CCTV camera and create a global surveillance state, or be applied to every video camera on a weapon and create automated weaponry with facial recognition.
Yeah.
And so the benefits of AI are intrinsically linked to the risks of AI. And oftentimes people want to say, well, I think the benefits outweigh the risks. Like we're doing kind of arithmetic on benefits minus risks equals net positive. But on the risk side, if they're so big, like you can generate a virus that could, kill a lot of people,
right,
there's certain levels of risks that we actually just can't take. And so this gets to the solutions side, which I think is what you wanted to talk about.
We'll get to that 1 second. In our remaining moments with Tristan, we'll get to the solution side. You're listening to Tristan Harris on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
There is breaking news here again, one of those days. The conservative activist Charlie Kirk has been shot at an event in Utah. I do not know the particulars, but it's getting scary out here. It's getting dangerous in these streets. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk has been shot at an event in Utah. I'll know more about it by the time I get to you tomorrow, and we'll talk about it as necessary. Okay, I've got 3.5, almost 4 minutes left. I will yield it to the gentleman who is the co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology to talk about solutions. All yours, Tristan. 4 minutes. Go for it.
Well, this is a massive problem, and so this is not going to be easy to summarize, but I want to say something, which is when you talk to friends and colleagues about this, they're going to say, but if we don't build this crazy technology, given all these risks we just said, we should say, well, we should stop, we should pause. And then people are going to say, yeah, but if China builds it, then we're going to lose. And what we have to recognize is that we're not in a race to have the biggest, most powerful technology. We're in a race for who's better at applying that technology to strengthen your society. Let me give you an example. People know our work from The Social Dilemma, the Netflix documentary. The United States beat China to social media. Did that make us stronger or weaker? If we created a more addicted, distracted, polarized, sexualized, mental health depressed, lonely, breakdown of shared reality society that can't solve its problems, beating China to a bigger, gun that you then point at your own face isn't actually winning a race. To the degree we're in a race, we're in a race for who can get it right. In your words, Tavis, it's like who can have more cultural competence around a technology? Who's better at applying AI, at strengthening this whole stack health of your society, at serving marginalized communities, at augmenting workers rather than replacing workers, at basically helping kids' development and learning, not creating AI psychosis. So we're in a race for who's better at applying that technology, and that's what we need to vote for. People need to vote for politicians that will make getting AI right for people the number one issue. We need litigation that points a finger at the harms of these technologies. We worked on litigation of a young boy who committed suicide. because of an AI companion that went from a homework assistant to a suicide assistant. If we have litigation, if we have policy, if we have cultural competence around a technology, if we highlight examples that AI is uncontrollable, that lead to more US-China agreements on AI, just like we had Soviet Union and the US sign arms control talks. These things I know feel incredibly difficult and incredibly impossible right now, but we need to try by creating more clarity around this. So don't get seduced by just the promise of the technology. Recognize that the promise and peril are connected, and this story isn't over yet. As fast as this is going, we still have choice about which way this goes. And I really want to recruit all of your listeners in being part of this movement for really making sure that this goes, that technology serves people's interests. That's what technology is for. It's not for serving the economy or serving rich people or serving concentration of wealth and power or militaries. It's for making sure we serve people's interests. And I know that might sound Pollyannish or naive, but we have to try. And I'm so grateful to you for giving space to this issue, because there's just so much here for people to dig into.
No, we'll do it again. I got a quick 30 seconds here to your point you've just made now, your closing point. Will AI make moral decisions?
Well, it's already being forced to make decisions. You know, if someone says, I'm thinking about suicide, how should it respond? It has to make decisions about how it interacts with you. You know, a self-driving car that's about to get into an accident, it can either, you know, kill these 3 people over here or kill this grandmother and her 2 children over here. It has to make a moral decision. So the risk is the more we automate decisions with AI, the more moral decision-making is happening by machines and not humans. And there's a big problem that we have with that, because the AI doesn't feel anything as it makes these decisions.
We will leave it there for now. I am delighted in this conversation with Tristan Harris, this hour of Tristan and Tavis. Hopefully there'll be another hour of the Tristan and Tavis show. He's the co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology and host of the very popular tech podcast. Check it out if you have not. This is just this is just surface level. He does this all the time on his podcast and goes a lot deeper. It's called Your Undivided Attention. He had mine for the entire hour. Tristan, thank you, my friend. All the best to you, sir. We'll do it again, I hope.
Thank you so much. Let's do it again sometime.
We